At 19, this kid built a Google Ads business that quickly made over 30 million USD in profit. At one point, he was Google's second largest advertiser after eBay, and he did it alone from his parents' basement. The kid's name is Val Katayev. Here's the amazing story of how Val made this happen and what his business did. Val's first business was to drive customers to clients and get paid for it. Google Ads was the tool. Val figured out that search advertising was extremely targeted for any customer, so when he ran Google Ads, they would convert well. Val's amazing journey started in 2001 when he discovered this. The New York Times paid $100 for every new subscriber he got them. And for every 80 clicks he drove to their site, one person subscribed. So, if he paid 50 cents a click, that's a total of $40 on ads, and he'd get $100 from New York Times. That is wildly profitable. He was 19. His family moved from the former Soviet Union when he was 11. Val got his first computer at 17 and loved finance, computers, and marketing. And because the web was so new, big companies didn't really know how to do online marketing. Neither did Val, frankly, but he figured it out. Paid search was new. This is pre-Google. In 2001, Val saw that brands would pay per customer, and you don't need to win a huge contract or go through a crazy process to be a vendor. All you have to do is apply to their affiliate program, get approved, and test how the ads you create for them are working. He started grabbing affiliate offers and gave them a shot. The first deal he got was driving customers to a marketplace called Half, which was later acquired by eBay. They sold used DVDs, college textbooks, CDs, and video games. Val opened a go-to account, which later became Yahoo Paid Search, and started to drive traffic to Half. There were no budget caps back then. He set up the campaigns, turned them on, and went to sleep. The next day, he woke up to a $5,000 loss. Did you just lose a month's worth of income in your sleep? Yes, you did, Val. He spent $6,000 on ads to generate $1,000 of revenue. Ouch. A loss, but Val's optimism saw something positive in the $1,000 of revenue. He researched each and every keyword, separated them by categories in the landing pages they had. He optimized the bids, boosted the winners, and dropped the losers. Then it became profitable. Pretty soon, it started to make $1,000 per day. Once it worked for Half, he tried more products. Specifically, 800 different advertisers. Yes, he launched 800 other brands and products on search. Most of these deals could be found on affiliate networks such as Commission Junction, Azoogle Ads, and others. Having just a few networks saved him a lot of time. They tracked everything, collected the earnings, and paid him. Val didn't understand it at the time, but at one point he reached a negative cash conversion cycle. Clients were paying him before he was paying his credit card for the Google Ads he was running. To win his business, networks started to pay him his earnings on weekly Net 3 and Net 7 terms. His cash flow statement was beautiful. Plus, their account managers started to sling all the best deals to him because they knew he was one reliable beast. He'd make them look good to their new advertisers. And it worked across pretty much every category. Subscriptions, lead gen, e-commerce. It was a small world back then, but there were no limits. The best deals were the ones where the advertiser had a great lifetime value and they were willing to front load it to him. One of his bigger advertisers was Rhapsody Music. He loved the idea of streaming unlimited music legally. Believe it or not, it was unheard of back then. So, he'd bid on millions of keywords, every song, every artist. Val worked insane hours. He went to sleep when he saw the sunrise and heard the birds singing. Automating processes and using bulk tools was the key. He just kept testing hundreds of offers to find the best ones. Many didn't work at first, but they had potential. So he'd email the advertiser directly and negotiate a better deal. Val said this is one of the big secrets to his business. I don't waste time perfecting something for a launch. Launch and see the data, then optimize for success. If it fails miserably, it's much easier to take the loss and move on. This worked for Val. Then Google came and things only got bigger. At one point, a Google employee told Val that he was their second largest client after eBay. This is never verified, but it was early and it makes sense. It was so early at Google that the employee's email address was mike@google.com. The numbers were insane. Just on Google, he drove 107 million clicks to his advertisers. These are not random clicks, they're high-intent clicks from people looking for things he was advertising. The volume got so big, advertisers would find him and beg him to give them a shot with massive incentives to boot. Those special rates allowed him to outbid anyone. In fact, he'd negotiate non-compete and non-circumvent terms where the brand couldn't compete with him on search. This happened while they paid him over 4 times their base rate. Paying Val 4 times more was still more effective than paying their big shot brand agency. The secret nobody knew is that Val was a one-man show. Very few knew about paid search back then, so he stayed under the radar. He never went to a trade show. He'd win industry awards but wouldn't go to the events to collect them. Exposure scared him. His reps told him that his company was doing as much volume as a performance marketing agency that had 100 employees out of South Africa. His first year's profit was around $1.5 million. That was a lot of money for a 19-year-old in 2001. He was making so much money that it was time to move out of his parents' basement. Val moved to the suburbs of Long Island and bought a house, all cash, and the neighbors thought he was a drug dealer. You're thinking he bought a mansion. No, it was a relatively modest suburban home. In fact, the house cost a month's worth of profits at the time. He needed to focus on the business, not the maintenance of a house. But the profits only kept going higher and higher. Every year, he thought there's no way he'd beat last year's number, but it would just grow. He didn't even track it, just kept pushing hard, not realizing how far the profit was intra-year. It's like that inspirational scene from Facing the Giants. He had blinders on and kept crawling away. Val had no finance department or employees. He just wanted to test more and win more. The dollars didn't matter. It was the game, and he walked away with a $30 million prize. So, why did he walk away from this business? He found a better business that could scale much faster. He had to make a choice if he were to continue with search ads. He'd have to hire employees and offices. Margins were sliding as paid search was getting crowded with competition. The majority of his business came from Google, and he didn't want to stay dependent on it. His new business was outperforming this one. So he put his Google Ads business on cruise control and went after a new opportunity. It would become his second company. This time, the first year's profit was over $10 million. For any young person watching this, if you remember nothing from this video, remember this. You are self-limiting your ambitions. No matter how big you think your goal is, chances are you need to add a 0 to it. At 17, in Val's high school yearbook, he had written down his goal, $1 million by 30. He crossed that line by the time he was 20. As told by Val himself, beating my 13-year goal in 2 years taught me that your limits are only in the mind.